Hey fellow workers, my name is Kim Siever. Welcome back to my channel. While unions play a critical role in improving labor conditions, wages, and benefits, we shouldn't forget that there's an alternative approach: workplace collectivization. This model prioritizes worker control and collective decision-making, aiming to create a more inclusive and empowered work environment. Here's why workplace collectivization, rather than traditional unionization, should be the ultimate goal of worker unionizing. First, let's clarify the difference between workplace collectivization and unionization. Unionization typically involves workers forming a union, a formal organization that allows the workers to negotiate collectively with management. Unions focus on collective bargaining to secure better wages, working conditions, and benefits for their members, the workers. Workplace collectivization, on the other hand, emphasizes direct worker involvement in decision-making processes. It goes further than just negotiations, fundamentally changing how workplaces operate. Collectivization seeks to dismantle traditional hierarchical structures and replace them with democratic, participatory frameworks, where workers have a direct say in the organization's policies and operations. One of the core advantages of workplace collectivization is the direct empowerment of workers. In a collectivized workplace, decisions about operations, policies, and work conditions are made by those affected by those decisions. This model fosters a greater sense of ownership and responsibility among the workers. In contrast, traditional unionization often operates within existing hierarchical structures. Unions negotiate terms, but don't fundamentally alter the underlying power dynamics between workers and management. While unions can secure better terms, they don't always address the root issues of power imbalance or worker disenfranchisement. Because workplace collectivization helps foster environments where workers have a genuine stake in the success of the organization, it can lead to higher morale, lower turnover, and increased innovation. Unionized workers can improve their conditions, but if they're still excluded from day-to-day decision-making, their engagement and satisfaction may remain limited. Collectivization, by contrast, integrates workers into the core of organizational governance, aligning individual goals with the collective mission. Workplace collectivization fosters a sense of community and collaboration that's often less pronounced in traditional unionized settings. When workers are directly involved in decision-making, they're more likely to develop collaborative relationships and work together toward common goals. This can lead to a more cohesive and supportive work environment. In unionized workplaces, while there is often a strong sense of solidarity among union members, collectivization integrates solidarity into the fabric of daily operations, promoting a culture of mutual support and shared purpose. Workplace collectivization can address systemic inequities more effectively than traditional unionization. By involving workers in all levels of decision-making, collectivization can help identify and rectify issues of inequality that might be overlooked or even ignored in a more hierarchical system. Unionization can certainly address inequities through collective bargaining or grievance procedures, but it often works within the constraints of existing systems. Collectivization aims to dismantle these constraints by creating more equitable and democratic workplaces from the ground up. A collectivized workplace is more adaptable and innovative due to its inclusive decision-making process. When workers have a say in how things are done, they can contribute ideas and solutions that might be overlooked in a more top-down approach. Unions can advocate for changes and improvements, but they often work within established frameworks that might stifle innovation. Collectivization, by breaking down traditional barriers, encourages a culture where experimentation and adaptation are part of the organizational ethos. Despite its advantages, workplace collectivization isn't without challenges. Implementing a collectivized model requires a cultural shift and a willingness to embrace new forms of governance. It can be difficult to transition from traditional hierarchies to a more democratic model, and there may be resistance from those accustomed to conventional management structures. However, these challenges aren't insurmountable. Successful collectivization requires commitment, training, and a clear vision of how decision-making processes will function. Organizations that manage to navigate these challenges can reap significant rewards in terms of worker engagement, satisfaction, and overall effectiveness. Even so, the ultimate goal of worker organizing should be to create work environments that are fair, empowering, and conducive to both personal and collective success. While unionization has played a crucial role in improving working conditions historically, workplace collectivization offers a more comprehensive and transformative approach to achieving these goals. To move towards a collectivized future, workers, managers, and policymakers must collaborate on developing and implementing frameworks that support direct involvement and democratic decision-making. By focusing on direct empowerment, collaboration, and systemic change, collectivization offers a path toward more democratic and fulfilling workplaces. As we move forward, enabling collectivization could be key to achieving a more equitable and effective work environment for all. Solidarity.